I was forced to sleep in my cold garage while my son-in-law, Mark, bragged about spending my $7,000 pension on a new SUV. He stopped mocking me the second my eldest son walked in and secretly recorded his confession to elder abuse. Before continuing, write where you are from or what time it is. Huh. The verdict hit my spine before my eyes even opened. $7,000 to dollars. That was the text notification I'd checked just minutes ago. The hard proof that my pension, my entire monthly income, was already gone. I was lying on cold concrete, bruised, hungry, and waking up like a dog in the corner of my own garage. That was the loss in motion. Dust particles drifted in the single shaft of August sun. 68 years old, 40 of them as a Philadelphia firefighter, and this was my morning view. My left shoulder throbbed where Mark had shoved me yesterday. It wasn't hard enough to break anything. He was careful about that, just enough to stake his claim. I pushed myself up, my joints protesting the cold. I had 3 crackers yesterday. My stomach felt thinner than paper. The water from the utility sink tasted like rust and failure. But the failure wasn't mine. It was Mark's greed. I shuffled toward the kitchen door. My hand raised a knock. The door snapped open before I could touch the handle. Mark filled the frame. 6'2" of smug entitlement towering over my 5'9". His eyes were flat, completely uninterested. "I just need coffee," I said, keeping my voice low and simple. "Garage residents don't get kitchen privileges," Mark said, crossing his thick arms. "That's the rule. You know the rule." I looked past him to my daughter, Sarah. Her blonde hair was pulled back, her face fixed on a coffee mug that seemed to hold all her silent answers. "Sarah, sweetheart." She didn't lift her head. "Mark's right. You should go back, Dad." Dad. No daddy, no papa. That single word, delivered in that flat, empty voice, cut deeper than any bruise Mark had given me. Mark's mouth curved. It wasn't a smile. It was a victory lap. "Oh, and your pension came through yesterday. Don't worry, I'm handling everything just fine." The door closed. The lock clicked, solid and final. My fingers clenched into fists. The anger was there, small but bright, buried under the ash of my humiliation. The flip phone lay on the concrete beside my mattress. Mark had let me keep it when he took my smartphone 10 days ago, thinking it was useless. I picked it up. The text from the bank mocked me again. Withdrawal $7,000. New balance 1447 My entire $7,000 pension payment gone. I looked up. Across the garage, my dark blue firefighter uniform hung from a nail. The badge caught the dim light. That uniform had seen smoke and flame, saved lives, and earned 17 commendations. Now it watched me sleep on the floor. I had trusted Mark 3 months ago when he offered to help with my finances. I'd signed 3 pages, 6 signature lines without reading the fine print. Sarah had smiled, telling me Mark was good with finances. The trap closed then. I remembered watching the bank statement arrive in late July. Balance, $347. Then the bankwoman's polite, patient voice, confirming the auto transfer to a joint account ending in 4792. More efficient, Mark had told me. "Trust me," he'd said, and the alarm bells finally started. The new leather sofa in my living room charged to my card. The $300 tag visible on Sarah's new leather jacket. Thousands of dollars on electronics, steaks, and wine. 1 month ago, I had confronted him. I found him in my recliner drinking my beer. "Where's my money?" I'd shouted. He'd stood up fast, using his height, his threat. "You signed the papers," he'd hissed. "It's legal. Power of attorney means I control the accounts. Make trouble, and I'll have you declared incompetent. Nursing home. Think about it." Then the shove. Not a punch, just a hard palm to my chest, sending me into the wall. The ember in my chest, the one that had just caught, suddenly spread. I had walked into burning buildings for 40 years. I hadn't panicked then. I wouldn't panic now. Sometimes you look trapped, but you're just waiting for the right moment. I set the flip phone down, knowing it was useless without credit, and focused on the window. Mark thought he'd broken me. He thought he'd won. He just closed the door, and the lock clicked. My body was getting used to the ache of the thin mattress. I was watching shadows lengthen through the window. my posture straighter now. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was studying. I knew when Mark left for his afternoon walk, when Sarah took her long bath. I was mapping the weakness in their structure. Then, the engine rumble. The specific loose exhaust sound of Tom's Honda Accord. Hope and dread collided in my chest like an electrical surge. Not now. Not like this. The car door slammed, footsteps on the driveway. I heard Tom's warm, unsuspecting voice. "Hey, anyone home? Where's Dad?" Sarah's voice pitched wrong, too quick. "Tom, we didn't know you were coming. He's in the garage working on something." Mark's voice drifted out, casual but laced with ownership. "Tom, long time." I stood slowly, hands shaking. I wanted to call out, to protect my son from this ugliness, but I couldn't move. "Where's the garage?" Tom asked. It wasn't a question, it was a challenge. The garage door swung open. Light from the house flooded in, turning Tom into a silhouette, taller than I remembered. I watched confusion cycle into horror, then into cold shock across his face. His eyes tracked down the bruise on my face, the thin mattress, the concrete floor. "Dad!" His voice cracked. "What happened to your face?" He crossed the space in 3 strides, gripping my shoulder. "You're living in the garage. You have a pension, $7,000 every month." "It's complicated, son," I whispered. Mark appeared in the doorway, chest puffed out, filling the frame with his bulk. "Not complicated at all," Mark said, that smug expression firmly in place. "That pension belongs to me now. I control everything. Your father signed the papers." "Excuse me," Tom said, standing to his full height. "Power of attorney, all legal," Mark boasted, stepping into the garage like a conquering general. "The money's mine. The house is mine. Well, it will be. And this is where he lives now. House rules." "Shut up, Sarah," Mark barked without looking. "Your brother needs to understand how things work here." Tom's jaw tightened. His hand went to his wrist, to the Omega watch he'd been given 2 Christmases ago. He unclasped the stainless steel watch. The sharp click was loud in the silence. He set it down on the dusty workbench. "This watch is an Omega," Tom said, his voice measured and cold. "Worth about $8,000. Take it. Take it and walk out of this house right now before I make a phone call you won't like." Mark stared at the watch, the calculations of greed and suspicion flickering across his face. Sarah, in the doorway, had gone white. "Take it," Tom repeated. Mark picked it up, turned the $8,000 watch over in his thick hands. "Nice watch," he said, setting it back down. "But why would I take $8,000 when I've got $7,000 coming in every month for free?" "That pension isn't yours." "It is now. Power of attorney, kid. All legal," Mark said, supremely confident. "You want to call the cops? Go ahead. They'll tell you the same thing. Your old man signed it over. His choice." Tom's hand slid into his pocket and pulled out his smartphone. Mark's smile widened. "Be my guest," he scoffed. "They won't do anything. I've got the paperwork." "The pension gets deposited into my account," he kept boasting. "This house? Once I get him declared incompetent, it'll be mine too. And he lives in the garage because those are the rules now. My rules." I watched Tom's thumb move on the screen. He wasn't raising the phone to his ear. He was recording. "You're forcing him to live out here," Tom said quietly, prompting him. Mark laughed. "He's free to leave any time. Find himself a nice nursing home, state-run facility for incompetent seniors. That's his other option." "Don't," Tom said to Sarah, his voice going cold. His eyes never left Mark. "Right now, I'm getting Dad out of here." Mark blocked the doorway. "He's not going anywhere. This is his home." Tom's voice carried something new. Authority. Mark hesitated. For the first time, I saw doubt flicker across his arrogant face. He stepped aside. Tom guided me past him, past Sarah, who pressed herself against the wall. I didn't look at the expensive leather furniture or the rearranged rooms, just kept walking. Tom's hand was steady on my shoulder. We pulled out of the driveway. I watched the house recede in the side mirror. Mark stood in the doorway, arms crossed, still wearing that confident smile. He had no idea what Tom had just done. The car felt like a different world, clean and safe. The house receded in the mirror, but Wesley was still smiling. We ended up in a clean, bright room at a Holiday Inn Express. 2 beds, fresh linens, a bathroom with actual hot water. I stood in the middle of the room as something cracked inside my chest. Relief, sharp and overwhelming. Tom ordered enough food to feed a fire crew. Steak, baked potato, soup, and bread. I looked at the thick, perfectly cooked steak and my hands started shaking. I ate slowly, carefully, while Tom watched me, his jaw tight. Afterward, he pulled out a legal pad and clicked a pen. The methodical air of a project debrief filled the air. "Tell me everything," he said. From the beginning, when did Mark first suggest the power of attorney? I told him. The friendly offer in May, the papers I signed without reading, Sarah's reassuring smile. He took notes, dates, amounts, the exact words. He was treating it like a system to analyze, a problem to be solved. Did Mark say limited power of attorney? Yes, limited to banking, but he redirected the pension, all of it. $7,500 a month for 3 months, $2,500. Tom wrote the number and circled it. Has he threatened you? Nursing home, state facility, says he'll have me declared senile, incompetent. Tom's pen stopped. That dangerous coldness flickered behind his eyes again. This is elder financial abuse, Tom stated, the legal reality crashing over me. Papers obtained under duress aren't valid, and financial exploitation of an elderly person is a felony in Pennsylvania. He flipped the page. We need an elder law specialist. I can't afford. I can, Tom cut in. Mark made a mistake tonight. He confessed everything on recording. I stared at him. You recorded him? He played the audio. Mark's arrogant voice filled the room. That pension belongs to me now. I control everything. The house? Once I get him declared incompetent, it'll be mine too. And he lives in the garage because those are the rules now. My rules. Tom stopped the playback. Pennsylvania is a one-party consent state, completely legal. That recording is evidence. Hope, concrete and solid, spread through me. We planned until midnight. Lawyer consultation, protective orders, criminal charges. Tom broke it down like a project plan. Objectives, resources, timeline. Watching him work, methodical and unshakable, was a sight I hadn't realized I needed. Thank you, I said into the darkness hours later. We're going to fix this, Dad. All of it. Morning came too soon. Tom was packed by 7. I have to go back to Boston, he said, but I'll be back Friday 1 week. And I go back to the garage. His face twisted. Dad, you can stay here. I'll pay for the room all week. No. I put a hand on his arm. If I disappear, Mark might run, destroy evidence. If I'm there in the garage, he'll think he won. He'll think you gave up. You're sure? 40 years in fires taught me something, I said, the words feeling true and hard. Sometimes you have to go back into the smoke to get what you need. I'll be okay for 1 week. I'll be watching him. Tom pulled a small burner phone from his pocket. My number's programmed in. If anything happens, anything, you call me. Where do I hide it? Somewhere he won't think to look. I thought of my firefighter jacket, its thick, fire-resistant lining. Perfect. Tom hugged me, held on for a long moment. 1 week, Dad, I promise. I watched him drive away, then turned toward the house, toward the garage. My steps were steady. Mark and Sarah were watching from the living room window when I arrived. I saw the curtain move. Mark's satisfied smirk was back. He thought I'd tried to escape and failed. He was wrong. I walked back toward the house, toward the garage, and I was holding a solid piece of evidence. I lay back on the thin mattress. The burner phone, small and solid, was hidden in the lining of my jacket. Tom texted that night from Boston. Short messages were my lifeline. Made it. Starting lawyer research tomorrow. Hang tight. Mark noticed I was calmer. It bothered him. Monday, he searched the garage while I used the house bathroom, a 10-minute privilege. I watched him later, pawing through my few belongings. He was looking for money, for a phone, for a reason why his prisoner was no longer begging. He found nothing. 40 years of emergency preparedness paid off. You learn to hide things where no one thinks to look. By Wednesday, he was suspicious. By Thursday, paranoid. I had work to do. Tom had called Sunday night. Dad, document everything. Photos, dates, amounts. The lawyer needs evidence. I photographed the garage first. The mattress, the cold concrete, the utility sink stained with rust. The view from my window toward the comfortable life Mark and Sarah were living on my money. In a dusty corner, I found an old contractor's notebook. I started writing. May 8th. Wesley suggested power of attorney. June 15th. Discovered pension redirected. $7,500 missing. The dates came easier than I expected. Firefighter training. We logged everything, every incident. Financial abuse had the same structure as any other emergency. Timeline, evidence, witnesses. I watched Tuesday unfold through the window. A delivery truck. 2 men wrestling a massive box inside. A 70-inch television. Mark directed them. Satisfied. I photographed it through the window. Timestamp, clear image. Later that afternoon, the SUV. Brand new Ford Explorer, gleaming black. Mark and Sarah walked around it, admiring the purchase. $28,000 of my retirement, and counting. I took more photos. Tuesday night, Tom called. The lawyer's name is Laura Chen, specializes in elder law. We're meeting Wednesday at 3 wives. Can you get there? I'll tell Mark I'm taking a walk. Be careful, Dad. Wednesday morning, Mark was watching me through the kitchen window. Around 2, I stood, stretched. Going for a walk, I called. No response, just the feeling of being watched. I walked 6 blocks to the coffee shop. Tom was already there. The woman beside him, mid-50s, gray suit, leather briefcase. She extended her hand. Mr. Keller, I'm Laura Chen. Tom told me about your situation. Start with the power of attorney, she directed. I told her the whole timeline, the friendly offer that became a gradual theft, the physical intimidation, the garage. She was focused, intense. Then she pulled out a tablet. She played the recording. Mark's voice, arrogant and clear, filled the tiny space around us. That pension belongs to me now. I control everything. Once I get him declared incompetent, it'll be mine too. Laura removed the headphones. Mr. Keller, financial exploitation of a person over 60 is a felony. If we can prove coercion, which that recording certainly suggests, the document is voidable. He says the police won't help. He's wrong, she said, pulling papers from her briefcase. What he's done is elder financial abuse. We can charge him criminally. The word hung in the air. Criminally. Show her your documentation, Tom prompted. I showed her the notebook, the timeline, the photos. Excellent. Detailed, she said. That firefighter training is saving you now. She set down the phone. We have a strong case, but we need one more thing. Medical documentation, the bruises, the weight loss. We need a doctor to examine and document them officially. Tomorrow, if possible. I had a plan. I had a lawyer. I had an opponent whose own words would convict him. The lawyer had a plan, but she said we needed one more thing. I walked the last 2 blocks alone, 2 blocks from the coffee shop to my house. Something felt wrong before I turned the corner. Mark's SUV was parked crooked in the driveway, like he'd been in a blind rush. The garage door was slightly ajar. I always closed it completely. My hand went to my jacket pocket, touched the outline of the burner phone. Still there. But the feeling of wrong intensified. I pushed the garage door open. Mark sat on my workbench, legs dangling. He was holding something in his hand. As my eyes adjusted to the dim light, I saw the shattered pieces of a phone. My hand flew to my jacket. The lining was ripped open. The pocket was empty. He'd found it. My mattress was overturned. The firefighter jacket lay crumpled on the concrete, its interior lining shredded. He had torn the place apart. Mark held up the shattered phone. His smile was triumphant, ugly. What's this, Ambrose? Where'd you get a phone? I made my voice small, subservient, pouring oil on the fire. Daniel gave it to me just to call him sometimes. Daniel gave it to you. Daniel who took you away last week. Daniel who thinks he can interfere. He slid off the workbench, using his height to crush me. Who have you been talking to? Just Daniel, I swear. Just my son. Liar. He threw the phone pieces at my feet, plastic and glass scattered across the concrete. You think I'm stupid? You think I don't notice things? My heart hammered, but my mind stayed clear. The broken phone was a decoy. The real evidence, the photos, the timeline, the recording, was already gone, already with Laura. This broken prop let him think he found the entire threat. You want to know something funny, old man? Mark's voice dropped lower, more dangerous. That power of attorney you signed, it's not just financial, it's medical too. Ice spread through my chest. Medical. That's right, he gloated. So if I decide you're not competent, if I decide you need to be in a nursing home, a locked ward for dementia patients, I can do that. One phone call. From the doorway, Sarah's voice came quietly. Mark. Shut up, Sarah, he dismissed her. Your father needs to understand his position. I looked at my daughter, met her eyes. It was a silent plea. Stop him. Help me. You're my daughter. She looked away. That was the cut that finally bled the deepest. She had chosen him, not passively, but actively, with a single lowered gaze. Please, I let my voice shake. The medical threat was terrifyingly real. I'm sorry. I won't cause trouble. You're right. You won't. Mark picked up my jacket, examined the torn lining. No more phones, no more walks without permission, and no more dinner tonight. You need to learn. He walked out. Sarah followed without looking back. I stood in the wreckage, my stomach cramped with hunger. But I'd eaten with the lawyer. I could survive this. I knew I couldn't fight them alone, but I wasn't alone anymore. The next morning, Mark cut my food again. Breakfast was 2 crackers. He was tightening the cage, trying to break whatever spirit he sensed hadn't broken yet. The shower schedule was cut to once a week, but I had an appointment that day. A medical examination at a clinic downtown, arranged by Laura. We needed official documentation of the bruises, the weight loss, the systematic abuse. I told Mark I was going for a walk. He watched me leave with suspicious eyes, but said nothing. At the clinic, Dr. Sarah Chen examined me thoroughly. I answered honestly as she photographed the yellowing bruise under my eye. She weighed me. I'd lost 23 lbs in 3 months. She documented muscle loss, malnutrition, and stress indicators. Mr. Keller, she said quietly, filling out forms. I'm required to report this. What's being done to you is abuse. It's being reported, I told her. By a lawyer. Criminal charges are coming. She handed me copies of everything. Good. You deserve better than this. Walking back, I stopped at the Johnsons' house. Martha Johnson opened the door, her surprise shifting instantly to concern. Frank, Ambrose is here. Frank emerged from the living room, his face hardening when he saw me. In their warm kitchen, I explained enough. I didn't mention the lawyer yet, but enough about Mark having my phone. Ambrose, Martha said carefully, exchanging a look with Frank. We've been worried. We see things. How you live in that garage? It's being handled, I assured them. I have help. I just need a way to communicate. Frank stood, decisive. Use our phone anytime, day or night. We mean it. Martha reached across the table. We should have done something sooner. You're doing it now. That's what matters. Frank gave me their number, written on paper. He told me where the spare key was hidden. I walked back to my garage feeling less alone than I had in months. That night, from the Johnsons' house, I called Tom. I told him about the phone Mark found. Tom laughed. Dad, that phone was backup. Everything's already with Laura. He found nothing important. He has medical power of attorney, I admitted. He threatened a nursing home. Tom's voice went cold. Forward that to Laura. She needs to know. But Dad, it doesn't matter. We're moving Friday, medical exam Thursday, then paperwork Friday. You hold on until then. Friday morning, I walked to the corner grocery store. The quart of milk was just cover. Mark watched me leave, probably figuring I had nowhere to go, no way to cause trouble. He was wrong. Tom's Honda pulled into the parking lot at 9:17. He feigned surprise. Dad, what are you doing here? I held up the milk. He understood. 20 minutes later, we were back at the clinic. Dr. Chen was expecting us. She photographed every bruise again with a medical-grade camera. She confirmed my weight was a 152, down from my normal 175. "Mr. Keller," she said, looking up, "I'm reporting this because what I'm seeing here is clear evidence of systematic abuse. No one should live like this." Her written report was 15 pages, detailed measurements, clinical observations. She used terms like deliberate deprivation and pattern consistent with long-term physical abuse. That was the leverage we needed. I had an official report, and I was heading straight back to the lion's den. The weekend crawled. Tom stayed at a hotel, but visited to bring food. Monday morning, Laura called from the Johnsons' phone. "Mr. Keller, the documents are filed, all 3 actions." "What happens then?" "Mark will be served Wednesday, but more importantly, I've requested emergency temporary orders. Freezing his access to your accounts, allowing you back in your house. We should hear back within 48 hours. Wednesday afternoon, I was in the garage when I heard shouting from the house. Mark's voice, loud and rising, then Sarah's, high-pitched with panic. The process server had arrived. Through the window, I watched Mark tear open the envelope. His face cycled through confusion, comprehension, and rage. "Sarah," he bellowed, "your father's suing me." He waved papers at her. "He got a lawyer. He's trying to take everything back." Her voice carried clearly. "Adult Protective Services, financial exploitation. Mark, this says criminal investigation." I sat on my mattress and allowed myself a small internal smile. The counterattack had begun. That evening, Tom called me from the Johnsons' phone. He described Mark's frantic lawyer search, attorney after attorney declining once they reviewed the evidence. The recording was the killer. Mark boasting about controlling the pension, forcing me into the garage. What he'd thought was a demonstration of power had become a confession to multiple felonies. He finally found someone, attorney James Kovach, a recent graduate. "Can we win?" Mark had asked. The long pause on the recording Tom played was eloquent. Then Kovach's weak voice. "We can try." Even his own lawyer knew they were doomed. Thursday morning, the temporary orders arrived. Laura's voice was crisp and excited. "Emergency orders granted. As of now, Mark's financial access is frozen. And Mr. Keller, you have the right to move back into your house today." I sat on the thin mattress one last time, looked around the garage that had been my prison for 3 weeks. Then I stood, gathered my few possessions, and walked to the front door. Mark was in the living room watching. "I'm moving back inside," I announced. "Guest bedroom." He stood. "You can't just—" I held up the printed court order. "Court order says I can." Section 2, paragraph 3. Read it if you want. His voice went dangerous. "You're making a mistake, old man." I met his eyes. No fear anymore. Just cold certainty. "The only mistake I made was trusting you. That won't happen again." I walked past him to the guest bedroom, closed the door, turned the lock. The click of that lock was the sweetest sound I'd heard in months. Thursday morning, 10:15. Teresa Williams pulled into the driveway in a county vehicle marked Adult Protective Services. I watched from my new window, the guest bedroom, not the garage, as Mark straightened his shirt and opened the front door. "Good morning. You must be Ms. Williams. We're so glad you're here to clear up this misunderstanding." His voice was too smooth, too helpful. Teresa Williams, carrying a tablet and professional camera, didn't smile. "I'm Teresa Williams from Adult Protective Services. We received a complaint regarding the living situation here. I need to interview everyone and inspect the premises." "Let's begin with the garage," she directed. Mark's performance stumbled. He wanted privacy, independence. We offered him a bedroom, but he preferred, "Show me," Teresa cut him off. I listened through the wall as Teresa's camera clicked. "There's no heat source, no bathroom, one mattress on concrete. You expect me to believe a 68-year-old man chose this over a bedroom in the house?" "He's stubborn. You know how elderly people can be?" Mark tried. "I know how elder abuse presents, Mr. Matthews, and this looks exactly like it." Afterward, Teresa knocked on my door. "Mr. Keller, I need to speak with you privately." We sat across from each other. "Are you afraid of Mark? Has he physically harmed you?" "Yes, multiple times. The most recent was last week." I touched the fading bruise. "Did you choose to live in the garage?" "No. He forced me out there 3 weeks ago. I gave her the facts. I own the house. He controlled the pension. He pressured me into signing the POA. Threatened to put me in a nursing home if I didn't cooperate. I was afraid. After my interview, Teresa spoke with Mark and Sarah separately. Their stories were too rehearsed. Then Teresa walked next door to the Johnsons. 45 minutes later, she came back, controlled anger simmering. She took more photographs of the garage, then left without a word to Mark. Friday morning, the official court order arrived in my email. Tom called excited. Mark Matthews is hereby enjoined from accessing any financial accounts belonging to Ambrose Russell. It means he can't touch your money, Tom confirmed. Not a dollar. And Section 2, Ambrose Russell is granted immediate right to reside in his primary residence. That evening, Sarah knocked on my door, face blotchy from crying. "Dad, can we talk? How could you do this? We're your family." I opened the door wider. "You took me in?" "This is my house, Sarah. I own it. You stole from me, starved me, and forced me to sleep in a garage." "It wasn't like that. Mark was just trying to help manage things." "Family doesn't do what you did. Family doesn't stand by while their father is abused. You made your choice, Sarah. You chose him over me. Now live with that choice." The weekend was cold silence. The final hearing was Friday, 1 week. Tom arrived Thursday night. I walked out to his car, seeing the curtain move in the living room window. "Ready, Dad?" Tom asked. "I've been ready for months," I said. "Let's finish this." The judge was about to walk in, and I was finally ready to face him. We arrived at the courthouse. The granite and glass of the Philadelphia Court of Common Pleas building was imposing. Laura was waiting, the picture of professional confidence. 2 hours allocated for this hearing, she said, glancing at her watch. "I'll present our evidence first. Medical, photographic, financial, and audio. I expect a decision today." Inside the courtroom, Mark sat at the defense table with Kovac. Sarah was beside him, face pale. Mark's eyes found mine, then darted away. Judge Patricia Hendress entered at 10 o'clock precisely. "Miss Mitchell, you may proceed with your opening statement." Laura stood. "This case is straightforward. The defendant, Mark Matthews, systematically exploited his father-in-law through financial manipulation, physical abuse, and unlawful deprivation of housing." She clicked her remote. The courtroom screen illuminated with Dr. Chen's medical report, photographs of my bruises in various stages of healing, then the garage photos, the thin mattress, the bare bulb, the concrete floor. Judge Hendress's expression hardened. Financial records next, bank statements highlighted in yellow, $7,500 redirected monthly, $42,000 for the SUV, $3,000 for the television, then the recording. Mark's arrogant voice filled the courtroom. "That pension belongs to me now. I control everything. The house is mine. Well, it will be. And this is where he lives now. House rules." Silence when it ended. Heavy, damning silence. The judge looked at Mark. "Mr. Matthews, is that your voice? And did you make those statements?" It was taken out of context." "What context?" the judge asked, her voice lethal. "Makes that pension belongs to me now acceptable when discussing someone else's retirement income?" Kovac tried his defense, arguing the POA was voluntary. The judge destroyed each argument. "Mr. Matthews, you're under oath. Did you or did you not use Mr. Keller's pension funds to purchase a vehicle for your personal use?" Mark quietly admitted, "No, he had not asked permission. He eventually admitted he told me I had to live in the garage." The judge sat back. "I find that the power of attorney was obtained through coercion and threats." She declared it voided in its entirety, effective immediately. "Furthermore, I find that Mr. Matthews misappropriated approximately $28,000 of Mr. Keller's pension funds. Restitution in that amount is ordered, payable within 90 days. Mr. and Ms. Matthews are hereby ordered to vacate the premises within 48 hours. And finally, I am referring this matter to the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office for review and potential prosecution." The gavel struck. Sarah approached me in the hallway, crying, "Dad, please, we'll pay you back." "You had months to make it right. You chose not to," I said. Tom positioned himself between us. Mark pulled her away, venom in his voice. "This isn't over." "Actually, Mr. Matthews, it is," Laura said. "If you violate that protection order, you'll be arrested." Thursday at 11:45, Tom and I stood in the driveway. At 11:52, a U-Haul pulled out. Mark driving, Sarah in the passenger seat, both staring straight ahead. I walked to the front door, inserted my key. The house was empty. The silence was peaceful. "Welcome home, Dad," Tom said. Layer by layer, I reclaimed control. The locksmith changed every lock. At the bank, my accounts were closed and new ones opened. "Your money is yours again," the manager confirmed. 1 month later, the mail brought news. Mark Matthews was charged with felony financial exploitation, facing 2 to 4 years in prison. The second was a handwritten letter from Sarah. She confessed everything. I cooperated with the prosecutors. They offered me probation if I testified against Mark, and I took it. I'm ashamed it took losing everything to see what he was. I don't expect forgiveness. I folded the letter and placed it in my desk drawer. Not thrown away, just saved for later. I'd decide on my own timeline. That evening, I sat in my living room, my house, my chair, my life. I'd spent 3 months humiliated, but I'd fought back. The pension was mine. The house was mine. The dignity was mine. I folded the letter and placed it in the desk, ready for a future that was finally mine. If this story resonated with you, leave a like and consider subscribing. You can also drop any comment below, even just one word. Maybe tell me where you're watching from, or what time it is right now. Sometimes one word is enough to say you were here.